Exterior, motorway night. Two police officers sitting in a police car. They're watching the number plates of passing cars. A white van arrives. One of the officers check the list. Waving to his partner, they immediately start the engine and go after the van. Interior, van driver's seat, night. Driver spots the police car approaching in the rearview mirror. He turns into a motorway rest stop, hoping he is not the one being followed. But the police car appears behind him too. Driver revs the engine, steps on the gas. Exterior, motorway rest, night. The van drives off at high speed, from the car park towards the wild fence next to the motorway. The van breaks through the fence, almost overturns, but eventually reaches the dirt road running alongside the motorway. The police would follow, but realize that their car cannot jump the ditch. They start radioing the others. Exterior, minor road, night. The van is driving at high speed on the road. We can hardly see anything. It has started to rain. Interior, van inside, night. The driver is sweating, can barely see the road. The wipers are wiping, but not well enough. The van is also starting to wobble from road bumps, but the driver is holding it. A loud crash. The driver holding the car terrified. He hit a cyclist. The man smashed against the windscreen. The bike too. Driver desperately tries to keep the car under control. Exterior, minor road, night. The van crosses over into the opposite lane, runs over the man once again, and the driver is unable to keep the car on the road. Just now we can see Cindy sitting next to him, watching all this in horror. Suddenly, a telegraph pole appears in front of them. They break it out. Then a massive tree comes to sight. The van crashes into the tree. Cindy's seatbelt is not fastened. Because she's pregnant, she has a big belly. She flies against the windscreen, knocks it out, and falls to the ground after several meters. The rain is pouring. Exterior, next to a minor road in the ditch, night. Cindy slowly sits up, watching the van. No movement. The driver is hanging out of the van with his head torn off. Again, this can only be seen by the light of one of the headlights still on. Silence. Only the rain is pouring. Cindy taps his belly. She's in pain. Then she slowly gets to her feet, walks to the van, tries to open the back door, but the lock won't let her. No noise from inside. She looks around, terrified. She sees flashing lights of a police car in the distance. She gathers all her strength and goes towards the cornfield. The corn is still standing, before the harvest. Total darkness. She can hardly see a thing, but she walks, clutching her belly, her face washed by the rain. The corn stalks hit her in the face, but she keeps going. She keeps going. Title. Exterior. Minor road, night. A police car arrives in the rain, and then a police helicopter also appears in the sky, landing further away. We can't hear the two policemen talking over the noise of the helicopter, but it can be figured out that they are trying to open the back door. They can't. One of the policemen goes to the driver's cabin, looks inside, searching for some tools. He has a torch with him. He is horrified to see the decapitated body. He finds a jack and its iron, strapped under the overturned seat. In the meantime, more people arrive from the direction of the helicopter. They ask something. We can't hear what. Using the piece of iron, two policemen pry open the rear door of the car, which is otherwise completely smashed. Finally, they succeed. 5 policemen open the door, shine a light into the wreckage, then step back. The pole pierced the cargo area of the van and impaled 10 human bodies, 6 men and 4 women. They all appear to be African. 2 policemen start running towards the car, asking for help. One of the officers moves closer to the bodies. None of them move. The scene is horrific. Magaksh, a young lieutenant in civilian clothes, appears behind him, watching in horror. Exterior, meadow night. Cindy is walking and running as much as she can. She is already out of the cornfield. Now she is in a flat field. She sees a light further away. Now she touches down to her skirt, damp with moisture, almost holding her belly to delay the delivery. Terrified, she realizes that she has been followed by a few stray dogs. They don't come closer, they just stand. She can see almost nothing but their glowing eyes. She heeds towards the tiny light of the house. Interior, Farmhouse night. Matthias is reading, or rather has been reading, but has fallen asleep. The table lamp is still on. Matthias is sleeping peacefully with a book in his lap. The Adolescent by Dostoevsky. Then he is startled awake by something banging on the door from the outside, and again from the outside.
What is wrong with you?
He opens the door. A huge commandor stands there, starts barking and runs off in the darkness, in the rain, towards the fields. Matthias takes his stormcoat. Exterior meadow night. Cindy lies on the field. The dogs are getting closer, growling. Suddenly the commandor appears and scares them away with loud barks and jumps. They try to confront him, but it is impossible. Cindy has already lost her consciousness. The commandor, scaring away the stray dogs, goes up to her. Now comes Matthias with a flashlight. He stares at the woman, then at his dog.
You really messed that up.
The commandor lies down next to the woman, watching his master. Matthias hurries back. Exterior, farmhouse, sheed, night. The rain is pouring. Matthias pulls the wheelbarrow, single-wheeled handcart, that is used for conveying fodder out of the shed. He runs into the house, gets a blanket, and heads back. Exterior, minor road, night. The forensic investigation is underway. Magac's 32-year-old young lieutenant, a physically fit man, looks into the driver's compartment, shining his flashlight around. He stops it at a certain spot, a yellow lady's bag stuck under the steering column. He studies it with interest. He can't pull it out without damage. Exterior, meadow night. Matthias arrives with the wheelbarrow. It's much harder to push it in the mud, but one can see that he's in very good strength. The commandor has stopped barking, excitedly circling around him.
What are you so happy about? You'd rather help me put her up. Of course you can't do that, can you? Great.
He turns Cindy over carefully, just realizing she's pregnant.
Now even this. From where did she pop up here? From up?
Above? As if it understands, the commandor looks up.
Come on, don't be silly.
He puts her on the wheelbarrow with great effort, covers her with the blanket. He puts the flashlight into the commandor's mouth.
You go first.
At first, the commandor doesn't understand what is expected of him. Then he starts to walk slowly forward, looking back and forth, making light. Matthias can only be admired, pushing the cart across the muddy field towards the house with great strength for his age. Exterior, minor road, night. Rescue helicopter, firefighters on the scene. They are cutting up the wreckage to access the bodies. A paramedic officer goes up to one of the police officers.
Completely useless.
Altogether, how many?
Not 10, 11, an 8-year-old child under the drive shaft, hardly noticeable what's left of him. But the cyclist will survive. A miracle, but he will survive.
Firefighters are busy. The metal cutter is sparking. A paramedic notices that Priest Akos, a 28-year-old man with intelligent eyes, has arrived on his bicycle.
Father, I think you're the last person we miss here.
How many dead?
11, including a child. I have to deal with their souls.
Paramedic sighs, goes about his work. Priest Akos kneels, prays. It's raining. Interior, farmhouse, night. Matthias is just lifting the woman onto the bed. Now he sees the wet skirt.
Let's hope it's the rain, just the rain.
The commandor sits down in the corner. Now we can see this is a very nicely kept main room. Bookshelves, old country furniture, an old carved rocking chair where Matthias was reading. The bed is also quite big, an old farmhouse bed for two. Matthias is looking at the woman. He looks at the dog. He scratches his head.
We better be prepared for everything, right?
The commandor nods. Matthias checks the water in the large pot on the wood-burning stove that is sparkling clean.
It's still warm.
Cindy is just starting to wake up, looking around. She sees the man busy at work by the stove, but she's no time to wonder she's having strong labor pains, but she's just groaning, not shouting or screaming. Matthias turns around.
It begins.
From an old cupboard, he quickly takes out white tablecloths. Those are embroidered tablecloths. Cindy twitches, her mouth tightly shut, her eyes closed.
They are like this. They don't scream, like ours.
The commandor barks once. Matthias washes his hands thoroughly.
Now you think I've done this before? Never.
Wait. Cindy stretches her legs apart, her eyes closed, pushing the child out of her.
You see? She's almost doing it automatically. Learn.
Matthias looks at her attentively, pulls up her skirt. Apparently, the child's head is already out. Cindy makes almost unearthly noises, but only softly, with strength. Matthias listens very carefully. Then he quickly takes a basin, pours lukewarm water into it. The child begins to turn. The umbilical cord starts to tighten around the neck. The commandor jumps up, gets there, chews the cord immediately. Matthias watches the dog, stunned.
It would have strangled him, huh?
He gently takes the baby, removes the umbilical cord from its neck. The baby comes out and out, Cindy's voice gets, a little louder, but she doesn't want to scream, biting the edge of her mouth until it is bloody. The commandor takes the fallen placenta in its mouth, goes to the door, looks back at its master.
Hang on, I'm still holding.
But he steps there, opens the door. It stays open. The commandor rushes out with the placenta in his mouth. Matthias looks after him. Then he turns back. Cindy opens her eyes, sees the man, and the man sees her.
Because humans and animals are the same in that.
Cindy closes her eyes again. The child is almost out. Matthias gently pulls at it. He immediately takes it to the basin, quickly washes off. The child does not cry. He reaches into its mouth and washes it out. Then he shakes the baby upside down. Cindy can see it, her face twisted in pain. Shakes the child. The child hiccups, then cries.
Lucky us.
The commandor comes back, sees the child, and starts circling around his master.
Hey, you, it's a girl, a little girl.
He's just washing her a little more. Her eyes open. Cindy is watching what he's doing. Then she's looking at the commandor, then the man. Meanwhile, Matthias has wiped the baby and wraps her in the embroidered tablecloth. The little girl is visibly healthy.
She has big hair. She'll be lucky.
He's taking the baby to Cindy. Shows her. Cindy's afraid to move.
The mattress will have to be replaced. That much blood will never come out of it.
He carefully places the baby on her breast, who cries again. Now Cindy takes a look. Then she looks at the man. Matthias doesn't say a word, just watches them. Cindy slowly cradles the baby tightly.
It's late, and now it would be appropriate for us to sleep outside with the dog in the shed.
Silence. They are all staring at each other.
But it's still raining, and the fucking roof that was done badly and expensively is leaking.
Cindy takes a close look at her child, starts crying, shaking with sobs.
And there is no other bed here, and I don't sleep on the floor because of my back.
He goes to her, gently pulls her away as she looks frightened at what is happening to her. Matthias takes off his coat and trousers and washes his face and hands. Then he puts on an incredibly old bathrobe and lays down on the other side of the bed, with his back to the woman. Then he gets up.
Oh, yes.
He turns off the main light. He turns on the bedside lamp by the woman.
Breastfeed her if necessary. I think that's what you should do at this point. I'll tidy up in the morning.
He turns away from the woman, closes his eyes. Cindy stops crying, clutching the quietly crying child, watching his back. Then she unfolds her soaked shirt in a clumsy way and puts her breast to the child's mouth. The little girl knows what to do almost immediately. Cindy's face changes from pain to a painful smile. The commandor does a long stretch. Interior. Car wash station office. Early morning. It's a really big site. There is manual washing, machine washing with automatic brushes, and the truck washers further away. There's a small house on the side. It's the office. In the office, there's Seji Tos, a short little man in his 60s, wearing an old blue work coat. A car stops in front of office. Man Weintraum, about 40. Buffed man in jeans and t-shirt. He enters the office.
All?
Yes.
Sarlos.
His head was torn off.
Did you see it?
How the fuck did I not see it? I followed them as it was supposed to be. I even went there to help. Fuck, I shouldn't have, for fuck's sake. I shouldn't have gone there. Why the fuck did I go there?
Money?
Man takes out a bundle of euro banknotes.
At the border, when I picked them up, as always.
He hands it in through the window.